according to current research, pedophilia is an unchangeable sexual orientation, just like, for example, heterosexuality. No one chooses to be a pedophile. No one can cease being one. It occurs unrelated to socio-economical status and unrelated to educational level. So generally speaking, anyone could be born a pedophile. Like every other sexual orientation, pedophilia can have different characteristics. For example, it can be heterosexual, it can be homosexual, bisexual. The vast majority of all pedophiles are men, about 99%. Within the male population, 1 to 2% are considered to be pedophiles. This translates to about 60 million people worldwide. Chances every one of you knows at least one pedophile are higher than that you don't know anyone. The difference between pedophilia and other sexual orientations is that living out this sexual orientation will end in a disaster. People who can't tell anyone that they're pedophiles logically won't get any help. For example, they can't tell their friends that they can't go to the beach because children in swimsuits might be there as well. We shouldn't increase the suffering of pedophiles by excluding them, by blaming and mocking them.
He is a psychologist and a senior scientist at the Center for Addiction and Mental Health in Toronto. In your piece, you say someone has no choice to be a pedophile, but someone can choose to not be a child molester.
Pedophilia is separate from child molestation. Pedophilia refers to the actual, genuine, underlying sexual interest. For some reason, and we haven't worked out the details yet, there are some people born with a genuine sexual interest in children. They didn't ask for that. Nobody asks to be a pedophile. That just seems to be the case for these people. But that's very different from child molestation, which is a choice. They're not responsible for what they're attracted to. They appear to be born with it. We know through a series of brain studies, both from my research group and from other teams, that they're born with slightly different brain anatomy. And the differences that they show are not the kinds of differences that emerge over a lifetime. Rather, they seem to be the kinds of differences where whatever the chain of events it is, that chain of events began before birth. It really had nothing to do with any choice that they made. When they felt the most desperate, that's when they needed to, for example, go to a psychologist.
Yeah.
But the way that the rules are set up today, if they go to a psychologist, that psychologist has to report them.
Yeah.
So rather than having a society where people can go in and get the help they need, we have forced these people to be out on their own, unsupported. If we were able to identify these people, for example, very early on and help provide them with the tools to control their own behaviors and their own interests, then we could prevent them from becoming a child molester.
So the persons that I've worked with who have offended against children, I didn't feel did this with any kind of malicious intent at all. Some of them didn't see this developing. They were drawn into the relationships in ways they didn't recognize themselves. I saw others who genuinely fell in love with the child.
This is David. He's known as a non-offending pedophile, someone who has a romantic and sexual attraction to kids, but says he's never abused a child. He wants help, but getting it in the U.S. is risky. Since 2005, about 10,000 people in Germany have reached out to Dunkelfeld for help.
Is this like conversion therapy? Are you trying to cure these people?
It's not possible to change sexual orientation. I never would try that.
So are you saying that pedophilia is a sexual orientation? Pedophilia is a sexual orientation?
Exactly. We have a lot of sexual minorities, and this is all part of this huge variety. So nobody chooses this. No,
During our investigation, we were surprised at the number of people who seem to accept the pedophile philosophy.
If people are having sex and if they just want to do it, openly, it really shouldn't make a difference what age people are.
It's our strict laws that result in so many of these kids being killed by child molesters because they're so afraid of what would happen to them if they get caught. It's a direct result of our stringent laws. I mean, everybody's got to be broken in somehow, you know, and ever since the dawn of man, it's been a normal thing where people, when they're young and don't know anything, get broken in by some